Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Happy, Wednesday to you and your family. We're taking a look at Bitcoin, of course, helping with best practice big picture. We're going to just take a quick peek at traditional markets and help understand, generally speaking, what's going to happen potentially next. It does look ominous, but also looks very similar to a pattern we've seen before. So we'll discuss that much more. And obviously, if you're new to the channel, CryptoCash.tech is a site if you want to become a better trader. We've got a trading academy, community, and signal group where I teach you how to trade. We have an amazing group of community members. We send out signals as well. We can see we took some profits here at 11% in 24 hours yesterday from Bitcoin. And of course, we got some amazing traders here in the community that are just killing it lately. So great job, everyone, especially Zach. 200%, that is amazing. I like to see you're at 50x instead of 125 too. Well done. Smart call. And then the last thing too, we're all using Bitget Exchange. They have a $10,000 prize pool monthly that we're available to have as just being part of the community. So if you use the link in the description below to effectively register for that, you'd qualify for that automatically every single month. And it's based on profit and loss ratio as well as volume, so pretty easy to qualify. All right, so here's the thing with Bitcoin. We're down 1.5%, where traditional markets are down anywhere between quarter to 0.75%. So we're seeing a larger correction today than we did yesterday, because yesterday the price was doing pretty well, contrary to traditional markets. So what that basically just tells us here is that the price is kind of catching up with itself. We've got some interesting behavior here as well, where we're seeing lower highs and lower lows. That's pretty standard, but it's interesting in the sense of the fact that we have a pattern forming very similar to past. I'll discuss that here in a minute, but the bottom line is that we're not in dire straits to see a 1.5% correction, but you got to recognize that most alts are going to get hit hard. So anytime we see price action get rejected at a key level resistance, then you're going to see a lot of altcoins get hit. So just keep that in mind when you're investing in altcoins. Right now, the best strategy, honestly, is to short altcoins and to potentially long some of the stabler coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum. Just kind of a guess there, or educated observation. But generally speaking, you're going to be much better off avoiding some of the lower cap altcoins based on volatility if you're trying to go long. Okay, just keep in mind, longs right now are getting wrecked when it comes to altcoins. Okay, that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at standard stuff and kind of see where we're at. So let's go ahead and see, and this is something I think it's important to recognize. Well, again, we got rejected off 50 on the RSI. That reaffirms 17,200 as a strong resistance level. With that being said, when that occurs, that provides us with an opportunity to understand that the market is still considered weak. Okay, until we break above that level, I'm not very bullish whatsoever on Bitcoin. Again, buying certain dips, taking tight profit targets, that's a different story. But when we look at the simple moving average here, you can see the 50-day SMA is still working its way down. Okay, so just say it continues to work on its same trajectory and average itself out. We probably won't see that intersect for at least another couple of weeks. Okay, so I would say near the end of the month, we might see a rejection or potentially a breakthrough rather through the 50-day SMA. And that to me would be more so of a bullish sign. Okay, now we could still very well continue to honor this ascending trend that we see here. So if you see how this is looking, let's go ahead and pull this up here. So you can kind of see we've got higher lows and a continuing trend line. Okay, so we haven't broken below that yet. So I don't think we should be in a position where we're super concerned with the price action being where it's at. I'm not really all that worried for a massive dump. If it were to happen, sure, it'd just be a better opportunity to get in at a lower price point. I don't see a problem with that. But you got to recognize that this trend line is effectively a little more. What is it? I put trend lines in a higher category than I do the price just say retracing within Fibonacci retracement levels. There's a handful of different things you can kind of think about, but generally speaking, trend lines and basically just support and resistance levels are all much more impactful than most indicators. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But regardless of that fact, we are still below a resistance level, and we got to acknowledge that. We are also losing momentum here on the MACD as well, so if that continues to digress, we could see a MACD divergence, and the price may actually continue further. For right now, we want to anticipate the price action is going to continue a little bit higher in the immediate future, just based on this trend line continuing to make higher lows. Okay, again, I'm not super worried about higher highs. I think higher lows is the most important thing. That's a trend reversal that you want to look for. All right, so that's kind of generally what we're looking at there. 4 hour, we can see lower highs and lower lows, of course. This makes perfect sense. We could continue to see this move its way down to the next Fibonacci retracement level. So I would say 16,500 would be the next low if we were to see one happen. Again, we got to give a chance to allow for this trend line to continue or to hold. But if it doesn't, then 16.5 should be the next level. We're below 50 on the RSI, but we've been kind of trending really close to that anyways. So being below that isn't super bearish, but it does tell us on the midterm here that we're obviously diverging. Okay, we can see that pretty clear as day here. Losing a little bit of momentum, of course, as well to the downside, which makes sense considering that little dip that we just had and that little bounce. But generally speaking, more so bearish on the 4 hour. We are below all three moving averages as well. Okay. So nothing great here. I wouldn't say it's spectacular. We're probably a little bit, it's like a 40-60 probability of upside based on the 4 hour time frame, but we got to give it time to see. And what we want to do is look at the 1 hour and identify roughly what this is going to look like. Because again, when I said there's a previous trend that we saw here, this to me right here looks very similar to this here as well, where the price action goes up to a specific key level resistance, which is a new support, by the way, 16,500, or sorry, 16,700. That is essentially the key level that the price had just bounced off of, right? So if we take a look at that and kind of understand that that was a resistance level before where the price action came up, worked itself into a pennant type of pattern, dipped, and then increased. We can kind of see a very similar pattern here as well, where the price action is coming up, right? That type of pennant pattern. The price is dipping, and there's potential for an increase. Again, ascending trend, higher lows, etc. All the signs are there. So to me, seeing those little trends and potential patterns seems a little more impactful than lower highs and lower lows on the 4 hour and the 1 hour time frame. Again, different strokes for different folks, but generally speaking, I'm not feeling like we're going to see a massive dump. We very well could, though, honestly, if traditional markets continue to decrease, which it looks like they're kind of recovering a little bit now, then we could very well see that, right? Because again, Bitcoin, for the most part, will follow the markets. But what's interesting is dollar index is down and traditional markets are down. It's kind of one of those interesting days here. So that is kind of weird in a lot of ways. You don't see that too frequent, but when it does happen, you can oftentimes see Bitcoin recover. Okay, so again, not super sold on the situation here. I would say we're literally at a 50-50 type of scenario where the price could go up or could go down. But again, based on previous patterns and the fact that Bitcoin's holding fairly well considering traditional markets are down, I think that we have a potential for either A, sideways action, or B, a further increase from here. Again, you can't rule out the fact that the price could come down. But based on the patterns, trend lines, support and resistance levels, I think we're looking pretty decent here to see some type of increase here. I would speculate that 16,700 is the new low. Again, I hope I'm right, and obviously hope I'm not wrong, but you never truly know in this market, right? The key is to work on your own risk tolerance and make sure that you have your own way of doing things. And just because I say one thing doesn't mean you should do that. You should honestly maybe use it as a barometer of which direction maybe the market's heading. A lot of my members do that. So just highly recommend being cautious and careful in this environment. Use low leverage and low position sizing, especially if you're using cross margin. We did talk about that in our community recently, cross versus isolated. So just make sure that if you are using cross margin, you're basically activating your entire account or portfolio. So if FTX were to occur again, a scenario like that, then that's where you're going to run into trouble. For the most part, it's a safer way to go though, because you're not isolating yourself in just one trade. You're using your entire portfolio, which is why you use smaller balances and smaller amounts per trade, okay? Again, just some stuff that I go through with my community here. We have a bear market strategy right now that works very well. You just got to kind of be patient, and this is not the best market for patience because it's just such a weird, I'll be honest, the last week has been very strange in trading. It's not the average, and there hasn't been a lot of signals, but honestly, the best trade you can make right now is really no trade. Wait for confirmation. Let's see if this trend line holds and see if we have a breakout potentially to the upside. If it continues to break down lower, we'll reevaluate and see where we're at. But 16,500 is the next support level if we lose 16.7. Just keep that in mind. It's working perfectly within these Fibonacci retracement levels. So nice, steady lines. So again, all well and good. Nothing to worry about. So I hope that you learned something here today. If you did, comment below and all that good stuff. If you want to become a better trader, again, cryptocash.tech is the site. I look forward to working with you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.